This is News Today, and I am Kemini Nyamani Amano. Coming up, as Vice Chancellors of the various public universities and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission have met leadership of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, as well as the Federation of University Senior Staff Association of Ghana over their strike. We'll be finding out the results of that meeting. On the foreign front, meanwhile, the African Union says it is working with its international partners to assist Kenya following the weekend terrorist attack on the East African nation. Details of these and more, including showbiz and sports, coming up in a bit. And so there have been proposals within the New Patriotic Party that the 2016 presidential candidate be elected before internal party elections. Earlier on News Desk, I spoke to Dominic Nitiwo, who said it only remains a proposal within the party.
It is a proposal that is coming. As we sit today, the party has a constitution. And the constitution is very clear on the procedure and how to go about some of these things. It is when the party members, right from the leadership of the party through parliament to the grassroots, the leadership have gone through this proposal and have accepted it. Then a national council meeting will be called. It will be debated. The merits of it will be debated. At the end of the day, if it is accepted, then of course the constitutional provision, the national council can set aside it for us to have a look at it. Until then, it is just a proposal. And so for me, it's not something that we should worry so much about, or we should really let it dominate the news. It's just a proposal that is coming. Let's look at it, at the merits of it. Is it a good proposal? Is it not a good proposal?
But what are your thoughts?
You remember that most political parties are there to win political power so that they can implement their vision to help the country. The NPP will want to obviously win political power to implement the country. If at the end of the day the party thinks that this particular proposal does not fit into its vision to be able to recapture power in the system, the party will reject it outright. But if it thinks that it is a good proposal, obviously it will be able to do that. If in the last elections, 2008, the last two elections, 2008, we had similar things coming. After the elections, we had similar things coming. That led to the expansion, that led to so many calls for so many. Some were rejected, some were accepted. This is a proposal that has come. I think that maybe people believe that it is important to elect a flag bearer who will then superintend on the election of the various branches and get people who will be able to work and ensure that we win power. That's why I'm sure that that's not something people are thinking. Others say no, let us stick to what the constitution is saying, and then we'll be able to get to that particular point, so that to give a fair chance to everybody who wants to contest to have a chance to be able to contest. But it's very, if you are going to elect a flag bearer first and you are talking of January, February, then it may be very short for some people to be able to do any effective work. Maybe some will take against in that line. But the bottom line as a party is to ask ourselves whether that proposal is good for us to be able to get power or not. If it's not good, throw it away. If it's good, then we'll accept it.
Right, and so with me in the studio also is Kofi Asamoah, who's with the PPP. But what's the issue with the PPP? The Progressive People's Party, as part of its comprehensive program to beef up its support base, has organized a workshop for its members and executives in the central region. The workshop, which was held at Elmina, was attended by the 2012 presidential candidate Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum and national executives, regional executives, constituency chairman, and former parliamentary candidates in the region. The party, which was born in 2012, was able to beat other existing parties by becoming the third largest political party and the second biggest opposition party in Ghana. So Kofi is here. Kofi Asamoah is General Secretary for the PPP. He's going to help us understand exactly what their reorganization is all about. Thank you very much, Kofi, for your time.
Yes, thank you and good afternoon.
All right, tell us more about these reorganization within the PPP.
First of all, let me say that the PPP is different. So we have different things, we do different things all the time.
Right.
The secretary's position is called National Secretary.
National Secretary.
Yes, so that we are distinguished from other political parties.
So Kofi is the National Secretary
of the PPP.
Right.
Yes. Basically, we had two objectives in doing the workshop. The first one was to emphasize the grassroots organization of the party, which is very fundamental to our strength and forward march as a political party. And second, there are three major issues that we have been championing: electoral reforms, direct election of all MMDCs, and also anti-corruption campaign. So it became prudent that we had to meet our former parliamentary candidates, constituency executives, to be able to tell them why we are embarking on those campaigns, for them to also appreciate the essence of what we are doing, so that they can go as ambassadors of our party at the grassroots level, so that people will know what the PPP exists to pursue. So it's basically a reorganization effort. You remember we came in 2012.
And that's what I'm wondering. What are you reorganizing?
The Progressive People's Party, you know, you have to start from somewhere. We put in an election machine to go into 2012. We are not going to behave like other political parties. As we speak, there are parties that only participated in the 2000 elections. They are still in the books of the Electoral Commission. We don't want to behave like those parties. 2004, no show. 2008, no show. 2012, no show. We don't want to behave as an election year political party. We have come to exist and to stay forever, to pursue the principles that we believe in. So the UGMs and the reforms, they are there. What is the Electoral Commission doing about them? They should deregister them, so that we know that we have 5, 3, 2 political parties that mean business. You don't joke with presidential elections. But if you allow all those things to go on, you are belittling the office of the President of Ghana. So we have come to do something different, and therefore it behoves on us to do the right things as a political party. And that is why we are taking this grassroots organization serious.
Right, but your call, I mean, one of the controversial issues you've raised during these reorganization efforts is the fact that some political parties should be deregistered, borrowing your word. But what difference does it make? In 2000, fine, they were there, and then onwards we haven't seen some of them. In 2012, we saw the parties that were serious and those that went for the election. What's the point in asking that they be deregistered because you feel they belittle the office of the Electoral Commission?
Yeah, you see, it is not only even those who took part in 2000 and never came back. Even those who took part, some of the parties that participated in the 2012 election do not deserve to be there.
I see.
Because you see, it's so unfair. We are talking about fairness and an even playing field. The PPP, we don't have money like other parties don't have. But we have to spend our small money to maintain a national office, maintain regional offices, and have constituency offices in 2/3 of the districts in Ghana, as the political parties law says. Why should you allow GCPP, if they don't comply, to come and contest for presidential elections? Why should you allow PNC, CPP? We should have an Electoral Commission doing an audit of political parties and their offices. And if they are complying with the political parties law, you want to be president of Ghana, you don't want to comply with the basic political parties law. Why should you allow you? So we are saying that the EC has the power, and the law actually says they may. But why have they chosen the other side? Allowing 23 political parties on our books. EGLE and all those parties are there. What are they doing? so that the office of or the organization of political parties will be taken seriously by future generation. If all of us will just come and have a party, whether it's 2 months to elections or some days, and at the end of the day, we just bastardize the electoral system the way it has been bastardized. It is not good. We can't sustain our democracy with this attitude. So yes, the EC has some criteria listed for the commission by law, political parties law. It is there that parties must have offices in 2/3 of all districts. It doesn't have to take a PPP secretary to come and say that a PNC doesn't have, or a CPP doesn't have, or a GCPP doesn't have. It's supposed to be the Electoral Commission, a credible, independent organization, to say, yes, PPP qualifies, or it doesn't.
Is that something the PPP has been able to do since it was founded last year?
We have done that. And you see, it is not only because we have done it, we are also part of the test. All of us must pass it. The last time I heard one general secretary of a bigger political party telling the chairman of the Electoral Commission that they don't have money to hire an auditor so that they can audit the funds of the political party, so that they can submit that financial report to the Electoral Commission in compliance with the political party's law. And we are allowing this party to have the opportunity to field a presidential candidate. No, they are insulting the very institutions that have been put there to make sure that we comply with our laws. If you allow these things to happen, who are you going to take serious next time? So the laws must work, and it's one of the areas that we are pushing for, that we have the left-hand side of the political process and we have the right-hand side of it. Elections are just an event. We are thinking of reforming the processes so that, for example, as we sit here, the law says that political parties must be funded by only Ghanaians. Is the Electoral Commission able to know that all the monies we used, I'm not talking about other political parties.
And that's why you're calling that.
Yeah, all the monies we used, did they come from Ghanaians only? They should be able to report that.
Let's quickly move on to the PPP. You're reorganized. I think one of the questions many will want to ask, because it was founded in 2012, is membership. What can you tell us about the party's membership?
Well, we are very hopeful that in 2012, the people of Ghana heard us. They now recognize us with some policy proposals. And of course, I mean, anybody who has been in Ghanaian politics for some time now will know that the two parties have been dominating. Now, it's difficult for Ghanaians to change immediately, but we are happy to note that they've recognized what we are representing as an alternative to the MPP and the NDC. What we need to do as a party is for us to be able to leap forward, is that we must get the foundation right. We must get the basics right. So we are saying that the fundamental agenda for us is to be able to get polling station executives, committed people. We have just said that we don't want people who just come for t-shirt, and we are taking the initiative to stop printing t-shirts, because we think that it constitutes a bribery of the Ghanaian electorate. Political parties, yes, truckload of t-shirts. What's it for? Are the people voting for you because of the t-shirt you are supplying them? And sometimes I was a parliamentary candidate in 2012, and they blackmail you for your inability to supply t-shirt. Is that what elections has come to? So we will want to depart that if I am PPP, I should be able to spend 1 cedi to buy a red and white attire for me to take to meetings. It doesn't take the party to supply that. Check all the organizations we attend, churches, clubs, whatever. Do these organizations actually pay for us to get some of the things we use for ourselves when we go to meetings? No. So why should a political party, a political organization, be differently organized? And that is why abuse of incumbency is there. That is why illicit monies find their way into political campaign. So we are, if you like, ceding our sovereignty to some other people.
Thank you very much, Kofi. I'm sure your supporters will look forward to buying your t-shirts come 2016.
But you have to, because...
Thank you very much, Kofi. Kofi Asamoah Siao is National Secretary of the PPP. He's been telling us about, reorganization from grassroots to the national level within the party. And he's also raised some controversial issues. But let's move on to some other stories. And government delegation has met the family of Professor Kofi Auno, whose remains will be flown in tomorrow. Professor Kofi Auno was killed when Al-Shabaab gunmen attacked a shopping mall in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. My colleague Ya Jimfua Fusu, who was at the residence earlier, spoke to James Aveji, who on your screen just signed the book of condolence.
Of State Chairman, and we have the Volta Region Caucus of Parliament here, and would like to speak to Honorable James Kluche to find out what they gathered from here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So we want to find out, we know you are here to sympathize with the family. Can you just give us a brief?
Yeah, thank you very much. As you said, we are here to mourn with the family. We are here to mourn even among ourselves, because we have lost a great man from the region. We have lost a great man from Ketunov constituency. We've lost a great man from a traditional area. So this morning, the Volta Caucus, led by myself and Honorable Asima and Honorable George Lowe, we've been here to mourn with the family and to learn at first hand what the arrangements are for the burial. So basically, that is why we are here this morning.
Okay. And what have you gathered so far for the arrangement?
Yeah, we've gathered so far that it is true that our late professor is true that is no more. Therefore, hopefully, tomorrow the body will arrive in Ghana, where the family will then meet this afternoon to plan the funeral arrangement. That is what we have learned so far. So if that plan is
remembering the late professor, what key role did he play, especially in the Volta region or with the parliament?
Well, you cannot mention NDC in the Volta region without mentioning the name of the late professor, Professor Kofi Auno. He has been one of the pillars in the region in terms of the formation, the development, and the growth of NDC party. And he has played a lot of roles in all the politicking, in terms of campaigning, to win all the elections that we have won so far.
Well, we apologize for the poor audio in the end of that bite. But Yafusua Jemfi, who is still at the residence of the late Professor Kofi Auno, has joined us by telephone. In fact, we understand that the Vice President is expected at his home this afternoon. We'll find out if really he's got there. Hello, Ya.
Hello.
Right, what more can you tell us about government officials visiting the home of the late Professor?
Hello, Kimberly. Okay. Government officials are scheduled to meet with the family today to discuss, among other things, the arrival and the reception of the body of the late Professor Auno. And it is expected that the possible agreed on by the end of this meeting. But the information we are gathering is that the Vice President, which is also expected to be here this afternoon during the meeting. So that is the information we have now currently.
Right. Earlier, you spoke to James Aveji, who is chairman of the Volta Caucus in Parliament. We lost the soundbite there. Just give us a summary of what he's been telling you.
Okay, the Volta region Caucus in Parliament were here to sympathize with the family of the late Professor, the late Auno. And they say the key role that he played is something that cannot be dealt with, here to also with the family. They said he's done a lot which they can't really outline now, but the man has been a very vital, he played a very vital in the development of the Volta region as well, with his position in government.
Right. Thank you very much, for that update. We'll get back to you as and when the Vice President reaches the late Professor's home. You're watching News Today. I'll be right back. You're welcome back, and moving right on, Vice Chancellors of the various public universities and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission have met leadership of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union as well as the Federation of University Senior Staff Association of Ghana over their strike. A technical committee has since been set up to look into issues raised by TEWU and FUSAG. Both TEWU and FUSAG are currently on strike after disagreements with their migration onto the single-spine salary structure. Chairman of TEWU, Peter Lumo, has joined me on telephone to give us, a reaction from this meeting they attended. Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Right, so TEWU was in a meeting with vice chancellors. What were you told at this meeting?
Well, there was a meeting between the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission with a committee of vice chancellors, and then FUSAG and TEWU. We met last Friday, but we had to adjourn because Vice Chancellor Ghana has set up a technical committee that is looking at the issue of TEWU and FUSAG, and that committee had not finished its work for the report to be discussed. So the meeting with Fair Wages had been adjourned.
I see. Why did the Committee of Vice Chancellors deem it necessary to set up a technical committee to look into this matter?
Well, the Committee of Vice Chancellors are our direct employers. And we stated our case to them. And they decided to set a committee, a technical committee, to look at the issues before we meet with Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
I see. Essentially, at this meeting, no interaction went on at all whatsoever.
Well, some issues were raised, but because the Vice Chancellor's technical committee had not finished its work, I will not want to speak about it.
I see. When is this technical committee supposed to come out with its findings?
To the best of my knowledge, I know VCG has a meeting on Thursday. So we're hoping that when we are at the close of the week, we should meet to look at the technical committee's report and the way forward.
Report has it that you were asked also, TEWU and FUSAG, I mean, both groups were asked to go back to work. How true is this?
Who asked us to go back to work?
The Vice Chancellors appealed with TEWU and FUSAG to go back to work.
Well, I don't know where this information is coming from.
Right. Are you still on strike?
Yes, we are still on strike.
Irrespective of the fact that Fair Wages and Salaries Commission would not negotiate with you because you're on strike.
I don't know where this is coming from. We met Fair Wages and Salaries Commission with our Vice Chancellors on Friday. So what is the problem?
Thank you very much, Peter. Peter Lumo is chairman of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union. But also joining us is El Ankara. He's head of public relations, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Thank you, El, for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I trust you're doing well.
Great.
Right. I just spoke to Peter. Peter tells me that really Fair Wages and Salaries Commission met with TEWU and FUSAG after all, though they are still on strike.
Okay, that meeting wasn't for negotiations. Wasn't, that meeting was consistent with industrial relations. They are on strike, and they are citing Fair Wages and Salaries Commission as being the cause for which they are on strike. So we come again. What is it? Why are you mentioning our name in relation to your strike action? So it's totally consistent with that relation. It wasn't a negotiation session.
I see. And so the meeting also reached a dead end. What really accounted for that?
No, I'll disagree with that. It did not reach a dead end. It was adjourned. It came out clearly that university management had previously met with TEWU and FUSAG regarding their concerns. They had been told to justify the demands they were making. And 2 committees had been set up, one each for FUSAG and TEWU. And university management had previously asked them to return to work while the committee did their job. And so it came up that it was unanimously agreed that the meeting gets adjourned until such time when the committees will bring their reports, and then fair wages, and then the university management will then submit those requests to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. It was also clear that most of the demands were not union issues. They were not issues that the unions by themselves will have to come to Fair Wages and Salaries Commission with. There were issues that they had to channel through university administration, their management, before they get to the Salaries Commission. So it wasn't a dead-end thing. It was an adjourned meeting, and it was unanimous.
I remember some of the issues they raised as reason for the strike. The Fair Wages had indicated some were still on the negotiation table, and others really they didn't deserve. So what are some of these issues that have come up that really shouldn't have come to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission as a problem?
You know, it is not healthy that we give you ball-by-ball commentary of whatever goes on during discussions of this nature. But one thing came up clearly that, for instance, risk allowances are not allowances that they can ask separately for. These are allowances that have been consolidated in their salaries after the job evaluation and salary grading. There were other things that they had to do through their management, like job re-evaluation, which they have concerns. They think there are certain risks that were not considered during the job evaluation. They can request for job re-evaluation, and then that also has to be done through the management. So, like I said, it wasn't a negotiation session. It was like ironing things out, seeing who stands where.
Now, TEWU and FUSAG, both groups are still on strike. In the event that the committee comes up with its findings, at a time when they are still striking, will the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission then deal with their issues?
At Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, we don't manage strikes. We don't manage strike action. We deal with compensation. We deal with public servant salaries. So we will not regard anything we're not looking at it from the angle of they being on strike or not being on strike. We are looking at the merits of the case they present. In any case, their management, university management, has made it clear to them that they will have to call off the strike, return to work, and allow the committees to work, after which those concerns will be brought to the attention of the Salaries Commission officially. So that will be an issue between them and their management, not the Salaries Commission.
I tell you what, Peter has told me that really they are still striking. And your stance now is totally contrary to what the Fair Wages has been telling us since these labor agitations, especially with TEWU and FUSAG. You had mentioned that you cannot negotiate with parties on strike.
We are not in any negotiation. Like I said, their management have put together 2 different committees to look into their concerns. So as to whether they call off the strike or not, that will be dependent on what management has to say. At the moment, it has not been brought. If I should put it this way, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is not in charge of their situation at the moment. Their management is in charge of their situation. So we are not supposed to really worry our heads over their strike actions or any strike action. We don't take decisions based on strike. We don't say, okay, a particular group is on strike for this long, so just yield to their demand, even if it's not consistent with the single span pay policy. We don't operate that way. So, like I said, at the moment, their management has made it clear that they will have to call off the strike, and that's at their level.
Right. Thank you very much, El.
You're welcome.
El Ankara is head of public relations at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Let's quickly move on to some business stories now. And Deputy Finance Minister Kasil Atoforson says government is keen on enhancing revenue mobilization and improving spending efficiency to address the current fiscal challenges. Speaking at the regional workshop on fiscal reporting and transparency in Accra, he indicated that government's move will aid in the repayment of the domestic arrears while creating room for infrastructural investments.
Ghana continues to face fiscal pressures as government spending remains higher than revenue mobilized for such expenditure. This, coupled with challenges of transparency in Ghana's fiscal reporting, does not allow the country to ensure best practices in public financial management systems. The International Monetary Fund (IMF), realizing the challenge cuts across West African countries, brought ECOWAS member states together to deliberate on how to develop and reform their public financial management systems. The IMF identifies monetary integration as the main challenge for West African countries.
Well, the main challenge for ECOWAS is really to look towards the monetary integration, which has its own set of criteria. So countries are working towards achieving and reaching these criteria before moving forward in the integration. But Ghana is one of the important economy in the region. You know, you have Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Ghana with strong GDP compared to the other countries. Ghana is also implementing important reforms.
Ghana, however, is striving to boost tax revenue collection to address the current fiscal challenges.
The last 5-6 years, in fact, Ghana has done quite well. We have seen, you can see a number of reforms taking place. Like now, I can tell you that we are moving from activity-based budgeting to program-based budgeting, the PPB. We're doing a number of reforms, like the gift system. It's been amazing, and the prospect is enormous. I can tell you in confidence that looking at the manner of resources that we've got, the manner that the public expect us to ensure that this resource indeed benefit the people of our respective countries, PFM is the way to go.
The IMF is meanwhile finalizing a revised code of fiscal transparency which will set the parameters for basic, good and advanced practices of fiscal reporting, forecasting and budgeting.
Auditing London Beach Committee is currently looking into activities of London beaches and has found numerous cases where Premix fuel is sold over and above the stipulated 4 cedis a gallon. Last week alone, the committee found some persons of selling Premix fuel to fishermen in EAG at 7 cedis instead of the 4 cedis that is stipulated. Alhaji Emmanuel M. Benson is team leader for the Auditing London Beach Committee. Hello, Alhaji.
Yes.
Alhaji, we understand that from EAG you are now in the Afram Plains. What have you found in Afram Plains?
At Afram Plains, when I crossed the pontoon, the first point of contact is the Galgao shop there, who is selling it at 7 cedis a gallon.
I see, which is not different from EAG.
Which are different. And there's another one at Jamina. Kwame? No, not Kwame. Kutusu. There's one Kutusu. We call them selling at 8 cedis a gallon.
I see. Which means that this is perhaps more widespread than just happening at EAG.
Yes, it's a thing that is playing around. They even sell in drum and take it to the other islands and sell at a higher price. What is actually happening is that the LBC themselves, the committee members themselves, buy the premix in drums, give it to the second person to go across to the other island and sell it at those type of prices, 7 or 8 cedis. One of them we interview on the phone, say he buys a drum at 370 Ghana cedis. So if you divide 50 gallons by 370 cedis, it's like 7 cedis and 40 pesos per gallon. And this is what has caused the shortages of premix all over the country. That there's no premix coming. Premix comes in and it's being ordered. And they are taking us back to 1979, where people were ordering things for summer prices to sell at a later date. So it's a problem we are facing all over the country that we go through.
Right. In Yeji, I know that you made some reports to the police concerning these persons who were selling above the actual price. Tell us about what you did in our farm plains.
Our farm place, we are just sitting with the DC. We tried to get the guy who was there. We took some pictures. They ran away and left the shop. We took the pictures, and so we boxed the place up. And we are now sitting with the DCE to recount to him. And if needs be, we'll go back, we'll let the police take over it. And whatever the police will do, that's the law enforcement.
When is the auditing team expected to wrap up its work?
We were put there about within a month, not actually days. We were given a map to go through the border region, all the landing beaches, to the northern region, to eastern region and BA. So currently we are in the eastern region.
Which means you have about 2 or 3 regions more to cover?
Yes, we have to go now. We are eastern region. We are Doko Chrome, and each of them has about 10 landing beaches that we have to go through. So from here we'll go to Panteakwa, Ipoko, south.
Right.
Afampe south. Then we head to Kofodia, Choice, Upper Manya, Asujamai, and the rest of them.
Many thanks, Alhaji, for your time.
Okay.
Alhaji Emmanuel M. Benson is team leader for the auditing London Beach Committee. And again, they have found Premix fuel being sold higher than the stipulated 4 cedis in their farm plains. Let's move on to some other stories. And struggling smartphone maker Blackberry has agreed in principle to be bought by a consortium led by Fairfax Financial for $4.7 billion. Blackberry said in a statement that Fairfax, its largest shareholder with about 10% of the stock, had offered $9 a share in cash to buy the company. But Blackberry said it would continue to explore other options while negotiations with Fairfax continued. On Friday, Blackberry announced 4,500 job cuts in a bid to stem losses. The Canadian company said it's expected to make a loss of up to $1 billion after poor sales of its new handsets. In August, Blackberry said it was evaluating a possible sale. Well, away from that disappointing Blackberry note, let's do some international news now. Kenyan security forces are combing the Nairobi shopping center attacked by suspected Al-Shabaab militants as they seek to secure the site. An explosion and bursts of gunfire were heard coming from the Westgate complex on Tuesday morning as speculation grew that the operation was nearing its end. At least 62 people have been killed with more than 170 injured. Between 12 and 15 militants stormed the Westgate Center on Saturday, throwing grenades and firing on shoppers and staff. At least 18 foreigners amongst the dead, including 6 Britons, as well as citizens from France, Canada, the Netherlands, Australia, Peru, India, Ghana, South Africa, and China. Meanwhile, Kenya's foreign minister said 2 or 3 Americans and a British woman were among the attackers. Meanwhile, the African Union says it is working with its international partners to assist Kenya following the weekend terrorist attack on the East African nation. Deputy Chairman of the AU Commission, Erastus Mwencha, says the AU is ready to assist Kenya following the attack that has left scores wounded and many dead. Heads of state and governments plan to meet in an extraordinary summit in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, on October 13. Some observers say combating terrorism on the continent could also be high on the agenda of the AU summit following the Westgate shopping mall terrorist attack in Nairobi. Mwencha says terrorism is a global menace which requires international cooperation to combat. Meanwhile, a senior police officer told the BBC the siege with the militants is over. Let's go to Iran, and Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton says Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif will meet 6 major world powers later this week to discuss Tehran's controversial nuclear program.
Iran's new president, Hassan Rouhani, has said he is ready to restart stalled nuclear talk without precondition. Iran is under UN and Western sanctions over its controversial nuclear program. Tehran says it is enriching uranium for peaceful purposes. However, the United States and its allies suspect Iran's leaders of trying to build a nuclear weapon. Iran has made it clear that if it is attacked either by Israel or the United States, it will respond in kind.
That's it for the segment. Sports is next and is brought to you by Tigo. You're welcome to the sports segment. Moving right on. Egypt are yet to confirm the venue for their second leg World Cup qualifying playoff against Ghana amid security concerns in the country. The Pharaohs on Monday announced that the return game will be played on November 19. 2-leg ties will be played between both nations, with the aggregate winner going to the finals in Brazil next year. Ghana will host the first leg in Kumasi on Tuesday on October 15, 2013. CAF has directed for the use of the MRI test during the qualifying stages of the African Under-17 Championship following its success during pre-competition. The latest decision was approved by the CAF Executive Committee at its recent meeting in Egypt. CAF's medical team will conduct the test, which will see the bone density of wrists of players scanned to ensure an accuracy of at least within 1% under the age of 18 during the qualifying stages of the 2015 African Under-17 Championship in Niger. Ahead of the start of the African Under-17 Championship in Morocco this year, CAF did the mandatory test, which passed all members of the Black Stars squad. Despite Ghana going through, there were setbacks for Nigeria, Ivory Coast and Congo, as some players from their teams failed the test. And to some women's football, Ghana will attempt to make up for the past failure as the Black Queens draw Burkina Faso in the qualifying for the 2014 Africa Women Championship. The Black Queens, who for the first time missed out of the championship last year, will travel to Ouagadougou for the first leg qualifier of the first round. The first leg matches will be between 13 to 15 February 2014, with the return games fixed for 28 February to 2nd March 2014. 22 teams will be involved in the first round qualifiers, and the aggregate winners will advance to the second round stage, where they will be joined by Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea and South Africa, who all drew a bye. Namibia will host the 8-Nation Championship. That's it for the segment brought to you by Tigo. You're welcome back. It's now time for some showbiz news. An award-winning music group, Showbiz, over the weekend had to call off the Akoforidia concert, which is part of their nationwide tour, because the residents and the Akoforidia fans did not seem to have an idea of the concert.
Having chalked quite some successes this year, which includes their numerous awards at the last Ghana Music Awards that saw them being crowned Artist of the Year and their BET nomination, the group decided to embark on a nationwide tour to get a bit more closer to their fans in the country and also to say thank you to them. They already held one in their terrain, Tema, where they had a massive crowd coming to cheer them on despite the show's late start. Last Saturday, the tour was supposed to be making a stop in Kofodia, but according to the management of Showbiz, the concert was cancelled because the organizers of the show were not fully prepared. When the management arrived in Kofodia, it was apparent that the residents and Kofodia fans did not seem to know about the concert. Hence, it could have been a flop, or so to speak. The management says a new date would be communicated soon.
We have kisses for breakfast, wishes for lunch, I wish I have you for supper.
Right, and the display of culture was at its peak when the people of the Volta regional capital, who marked the 10th anniversary celebrations of the chief of the Asogli state during the Asogli Yam Festival.
It was a thrilling moment for the people of Ho as they celebrated the Asogli Yam Festival. The night before the Grand Durbar, there was a lot of drinking and partying around town. Some musicians also came together to treat residents and fans to live stage performances, which got a large crowd electrified. On the day of the Grand Durbar, the Agbomefia of the Asogli state, Togbi Aplathe the 14th, his elders and the people all assembled at the Ho Stadium where they observed traditions with culture beautifully displayed.
Right, and some of your comments have been coming in. Baba Musa Tamale says the fight against terrorism requires unbiased approach in order to succeed. And Eleblu Eric Jehu says terrorism is bad and our security agencies must be provided with high sophisticated gadgets to enable them trap these terrorists. That'll be all for this. Let's quickly look at our closing headlines. And vice chancellors of the various public universities and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission have met leadership of the Teachers and Educational Workers Union as well as the Federation of University Senior Staff Association of Ghana over their strike. The African Union says it is working with its international partners to assist Kenya following the weekend terrorist attack on the East African nation. My name is Kemini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.